imagine finding a worldview that just makes, perfect sense to you. The ideas are beautiful, the logic is sound, but then you meet the people actually running the organization, and their behavior completely contradicts the brochure.
Right, yeah.
I mean, what happens when an ideology is flawless, but its followers are, well, the exact opposite?
That exact tension is really the core of our deep dive today. We're looking at a set of 7-step quiet time notes, where the author takes an ancient text, Matthew chapter 23, and pairs it with a pretty harsh modern reflection on religious hypocrisy.
And just to be clear up front, we are looking at this purely as an analysis of human behavior.
Exactly.
We aren't endorsing the theology or taking a side on the religious critiques here. We're just, tracing how a brilliant philosophical framework can be hijacked by the very people claiming to protect it.
So the notes anchor this whole dynamic in the words of Jesus, specifically his public warning about the religious elites of the day, the scribes and Pharisees.
Right, those were the guys in charge.
Yeah, and he essentially tells the crowds to listen to their teachings because they hold legitimate authority. They sit on Moses' seat, as the text says.
Okay, but then he says, don't copy their actions.
Precisely, because they talk a big game but just don't play it.
Yeah.
The text notes that they tie up these heavy burdens for people to carry, but they won't even lift a finger to help.
It's like having a demanding fitness coach who screams at you to run 10 miles, but absolutely refuses to ever get off the couch themselves.
That is a perfect analogy, and the text gets into the mechanism of why they do this. It mentions them wearing broad phylacteries and seeking the best seats at feasts.
Wait, broad what? What's a phylactery?
Oh, they're these little leather boxes containing scripture that they'd wear. And by making them really broad or having long fringes on their clothes, it was a highly calculated performance.
Ah, I see. So it's not just laziness.
No, not at all. It's the weaponization of virtue for social status. In that culture, public piety was basically the ultimate currency. By demanding titles like rabbi or father in the marketplace, they were signaling this absolute moral superiority.
So the image of righteousness became the actual product. It entirely replaced the hard work of, being genuinely righteous.
Which explains why this ancient text triggers the author's modern realization. Because this exact mechanism is still a massive barrier for the church today.
Yeah, the notes pull a pretty brutal list of examples here.
They really do. From historical colonial exploitation by supposedly Christian nations, all the way down to modern financial fraud and toxic infighting among local believers.
But let me push back a little here.
Sure.
If an ideology scales up to millions of people over thousands of years, isn't systemic hypocrisy just, inevitable? Human nature is human nature.
Statistically, perhaps. But the author's focus is on the severe psychological damage that hypocrisy does to the core message.
Right, how it affects the individual.
Exactly. There's this specific, really powerful story in the notes. The author shares the gospel with a man who actually accepts the core message.
Oh, wow, so he was on board.
He was. He genuinely wanted to believe it. But he utterly refused to join a Christian community.
Let me guess. Because the institution's actions actively invalidated the ideology for him.
You nailed it. He couldn't reconcile the beautiful message with the actual behavior of the people claiming to follow it. He wanted no part of that group's dynamic.
That is heartbreaking.
And the author admits something incredibly vulnerable in the notes. They say they had absolutely no defense. They couldn't offer the man a single excuse.
Because when the hypocrisy becomes the main thing people see, the whole system just collapses.
Yes, exactly.
So how does the source text propose fixing this bug? It seems hardwired into human nature.
By completely inverting the power structure, the notes highlight Matthew 23, verses 11 and 12, which demand radical humility as the antidote.
Radical humility.
Okay. Right. The instruction is that the greatest among you must be a servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted.
So it completely strips away that PR campaign we talked about. True discipleship, according to this, isn't about collecting titles or managing an image.
No, it's about doing the unglamorous work when there's no audience around to give you credit.
Which really forces all of us to hold a mirror up to ourselves. So I want to ask you listening right now, is there a gap between what you say you believe and how you actually live?
That is the core question.
Yeah, does your life make it easier or harder for others to trust your message?
It's a heavy thought. But we've basically traced how this source unpacks the destructive weight of hypocrisy, moving from that ancient warning about social currency to a modern call for authentic, humble action.
It really does leave you with a deeply uncomfortable question to end on.
It sure does.
If human nature inherently craves the titles, the public honor, the status that this text warns about, is it ever truly possible to build a large institution that doesn't eventually wrestle with its own hypocrisy?